Hello, hello, everybody. I hope you guys can see and hear me. Let me know, please. Let me know. Whew. Mm-mm. Can you guys hear and see me? I know it's funny that I'll ask the question and then there's a delay. So it's quite a big delay right at the moment. Everyone is saying hello. Sounded great. Thank you so much, Janine. I do appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much. Happy Tuesday. Happy Sassy Tuesday. I pray that you and your family are all doing well on today. Guys, your girl has been running around. I was going to say like a chicken with her head cut off. We'll get to that. I got a story to tell you about that too. Oh, let's see who's all in the chat because we got a busy day. Or tonight we have a busy day. My goal is just to make one out of 8 of these little blocks with you guys on tonight. Somebody's riding down the street being loud and messy. We have Day is in the house. Hello, hello. We have Brenda Marie Flowers. Hello and welcome. We have Zandra in the house. Tessa is in the house. Thank you so much for coming. We have Miss Janine in the house. Guys, thank you guys so much for coming and being with me on tonight. So, let me quickly tell you what's coming up, and then we'll go from there with sewing block number 4 of the mystery quilt. Murder mystery quilt, I should say. Coming up next week, we will be starting the Come On. If I had this pattern right. You can tell I've been working on it. Okay, I've been working. I've been working. This pattern is called. Oh, I'm show y'all my information. Come on, get happy, and it is by Sterling Quilt Company. As you can see, the yellow up here. I've already started cutting one of the fabrics. I got to catch up with Donna. She already got her stuff cut up. Okay. So I'm trying to take her advice on having everything cut prior to the project starting the project, and it'll flow much easier. So that is what I've done on um, the African quilts and now this one. So I'll be ready for Tuesday. We'll be starting Come On, Get Happy. Okay. The next project, which tomorrow I'll be coming on and we'll be doing our stitch along. It is the Create Every Day. The pattern is linked and the intro video is linked in the description box below. So is the Come On Get Happy pattern is also linked in the description box below. But this pattern is free over at Fat Quarter Shop, so it is linked. So if you want to start the stitch along with us, let me know. Now I'm coming to you tomorrow as we start this, and I will go into details and tell you the days and times that I will be doing a live with you guys as we work on this project. I have the days broken down, so it'll be much, much easier for us to digest and work out. So tomorrow, I want to come on anywhere. I'm just going to say 7 o'clock is my theme. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, I will be coming on in the evening and we'll be working on this. We'll start it. I will be showing you how ways to start the cross stitch and then how I'm going to start since I am using hand dyed floss. Okay, so that's that. So tomorrow at 7. I wanted to do it earlier, maybe the next week, maybe earlier, But sometimes I just have to get in where I fit in, where, with times and then all that kind of good stuff. I just don't know. So 7 o'clock tomorrow. I hope I'm not overstepping on someone else's live, but there is always replay and we will work that out. Okay. Hello, Annette. Thank you so much for coming. Hey, Judy. Thank you so much for coming, ladies. So that was Come On, Get Happy and Create. Um, we'll be breaking that down on tomorrow. My June project is pending, so I'll be letting you know what's that all about. And guys, I have gone through my works in progress, my whip bucket, and yeah, that sucker is getting kind of big. I have projects that's in all different stages, but most of them are just needing to be quilted and then, of course, bound. I have 6 quilts at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 4 quilts that need to be bound. One, just the label needs to be bound and the sleeve. And then I have another one that's already glue basted. If you've seen the short on that, and I have the label for it here that I made this week. I absolutely love it. It says handmade by Stephanie Harris 2023 because yes, that's when I made it. This is for the harvest delivery quilt wall hanging. So I'll be putting this. I have heat and bond on the back. I will iron it to it and then I will hand stitch it down. Okay. And then I have one I just need to clean up and deliver, and the other 1, 2, 3 just really need to be bound, period. So the whole process, make the binding, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, that's what we are. So Wednesdays I am dubbing, what did I call it? Work a Whip Wednesday. So I'll be giving you guys some shorts as to what I'm working on during that day. Hi Teresa Louise, honey, it's nice to see you. And happy birthday. I know it's not today, but it was the other day. So happy belated birthday. I want to share with you this one photo that was able to get from Sassy's Quilt Tribe. And that is this photo right here. It is from Ellen Campbell. She did a great job. She is learning to quilt on her long arm, but I think she had already started this quilt on her domestic. So she did some feathers and all that kind of good stuff in there. So she is cruising right along. So great job, Miss Ellen. Great job. And thank you so much for sharing your project with us. Hello, Miss Ann. So, okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started on this project. So, wow. Okay, let's talk about this dang on rooster, Leo. Y'all, that guy rose up at me again. Okay. I never carry my cane in the coop. One, because sanitary purposes. So, but I had it in there with me that day in my hand. I don't know what I was thinking, why I did it. I just did it. Now, usually, your girl is always packing one of her 3 devices, or 2, at the same time. But this time I had nothing, but I had my cane. That joker jumped up at me. I can't remember what the heck happened. Oh, he was crowing. I was like, "What you mean? Hush! Stop all that ruckus!" And that was first. And so he was like, when I told him to stop, he started taking it out on a girl. So that's what happened. He started taking out a girl. So he was okay. Let's back up. The other night, for some weird reason, I got an alert on from my camera. Yes, I'm bougie. I have a camera in my coop because I need to know if head count. Because I was tired of walking out there at night trying to see if all these chickens was in the coop or not. So I got a camera. I guess I did. So went the camera alerted, and the only time it's set to alert is if there's like something like a loud clatter or they're keeping up a lot of noise for a little bit of period of time. And I was like, that's weird. So I look at the camera and there is only 5 birds in the coop. I was like, Joe, we gotta go. We're walking out. I mean, me and that cane. We was going to that coop real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And they were outside on the ramp going up with the door closed. So I don't know if this joker wouldn't let them in. Those 4, when I told him to hush, he started attacking them. So here is my, let me close my rotary cutter. Here is my cane. This is Leo. And I said, hey, knock that off. So he looked back at me. I said, yes, you knock that off. We don't do that in here, sir. You'll be nice to ladies up in here. You will act like a gentleman. He gets mad. So he started crowing. And I was like, I don't care. You can hush up all that crowing. And he squared. And I know when he's about to flap, he about to do something. He rolls them little wings up. He jumped up, and next thing I knew, that cane was in his chest. Pap! Woo! Y'all, I'm gonna tell you that dang on bird. He is getting up out of here. He will be no longer at our house after Friday. I will not be disrespected in my house by no dang old chicken. Just not gonna happen. So he he going, y'all. So that was it for that's something y'all gonna hear about Leo. Here's that little turkey. He was oh my gosh, it was so funny. I was like, no, he didn't. And my husband was like, you okay? Am I okay? This dang on rooster, you need to ask him if he okay, because he crazy just a little bit. Okay, let's not do all that over here. Well, what y'all doing? But yeah, y'all, that dang on rooster, I was like, he had me in my feelings. Because I was like, there is no way this bird is about to act up over here after all I do for it. Oh, I'm looking for one of my 2 things that I had up here, and then I call myself straightening things up. Here it is, and it got moved. But yeah, so he's going. Goodbye. Hi, Maritza. Nice to see you. Hola. And hey, Tina. But yeah, that's been my day, and I've been trying my best not to take it personal that this rooster. I mean, he's full of hormones. He's full of hormones, y'all. He's full of hormones, and I'm not the one or the 2. He gonna have to get. He's about to be in somebody's stew pot if he don't get some act right, and if I can't get nobody to take him. But no, I don't do what unruliness. I'm not gonna take it from from no guy, no man, and I'm sure enough ain't gonna take it from no rooster. Just not having it. Just not having it. So that is my saga with Leo. But that's enough about Leo, because everybody else is doing fine. Even Benson, he ain't doing fine right now because he want to come down here and he can't. Okay, so this is foundation paper piece, and you guys see me do this quite a bit. We're just gonna go ahead and um, get this big piece ready. What I'm doing is making sure that I have fabric on all sides of my square. This is the block we're making. I had to make it twice, but it's the format, the layout is a little bit different, but this is the block that I'm making. This one I have to remove all the paper off the back. It's not all out, but this is what I'm making. And this is block 4 of the Murder Mystery Quilt. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this story because y'all, this story, I've read chapters 1 through 3, and how to show y'all, I take notes and I highlight and I go through this story word, line by line, trying to catch little clues and hints and stuff like that. But not just for this book that we're reading, not for this, just not for this. I do that with all my murder mysteries. I do it with like Christian, well, only read Christian fiction and stuff like that. So when I take notes, I annotate in my book. I never plan on getting rid of it unless if I read chapter 1, this is my thing. If I read chapter 1 and I feel that is not noteworthy, if I do not take notes, I already consider that book an okay book, and that okay book is going to be donated to my local library because we have very little Christian fiction books. So yeah, that's what I do with my books. H1, H2. So this book starts off with the main character name is Kitty. Kitty accepts a position in Greece. So the story starts off prior to her getting to Greece. A body is found. You can tell that this person did not put themselves in this situation hanging from a tree. It was clear that, well, from me reading it, it made no sense. And I'm going to explain. It was a body found and they chalked it up as she unalived herself. But in my mind, common sense, I'm not going to say common sense. If you read a lot of murder mysteries or if you watch a lot of true crime TV, I'm forced to watch it in this house, okay? Forced, I tell you, forced. Um, four is B. I already have some strips pre-cut, so I can make this process go a little bit easier. This person, they say, unalive themselves and in a tree that's close to the ground. That pretty much how they found her was that hung from a tree, but it was like no dangling. It was like, well, it was very minimal dangling. It wasn't that um it wasn't like a full hanging, when your feet from the ground. It wasn't like that. It was a little bit off the ground. kind of thing. So there, it just didn't make sense. It never made sense. But anyway, she accepts this position in Greece, and she arrives in Greece and was told that the person whose job she's replacing had left. Well, she found out the person she replaced is the person that was hanging in that tree. Now, Kitty in the past have solved other murders. So she was adamant in these first three chapters that look, when she found out, she was like, yeah, I'm not here to solve no crimes. I'm here just to do my job and so I can take my little happy butt home. And but she's finding herself being brought in. She's being brought into this story because this one guy, what's this guy name? Oh, he reminded me of Wendy Williams so bad. He was like, well, no, I'm gonna take you guys a little bit page by page. Okay, because then that way I won't be jumping. So okay, body found swinging. That was early April. Oh, girl, Kitty gets 5, 6 weeks later. She arrives in Greece. She's greeted. The guy picks her up. The guy who hired her picks her up, and he driving her around like a bat out of torment. And I would have been like, listen here, sir, you don't have to drive like that, or is everybody around here crazy or what? So he driving her around all reckless, like her body, she didn't mean nothing, because that's how it felt like he was driving. And Janine wasn't in the car. It was Donna, Day, and Day husband. We were at QuilCon, and this guy was driving. I was like, wait a minute, wait. You're not supposed to be going this way, because I need to know where we going, how we getting there. I'm looking at my GPS versus his GPS, so I need to know all that. Okay, well, I'm not trusting you because you've been took me somewhere, and sir, we got to get ready to fight. Okay. So I felt Kitty like, why is this man driving like this? And everybody, and then she just realized that, people must just drive like that over in Greece. I've never been to Greece, but I sure enough been to Korea, and I can attest they kind of drive a little cray cray too. So anyway, his name is Costas, Leonidas Costas. So Mr. Costas, um, was like, well, glad to have you here. And, and she was like, oh, okay. And he was like, under this, he wasn't saying like so much like under the circumstances. He was just like, glad to have you here. The other girl left. So she was like, oh, okay. So they finally got her in there and got her to the place. They're talking about the place. And then they started talking about um the the history. Now the history is like in Minoan. If I'm not, I know I'm not pronouncing these names right because I have no clue of Greek history. So I'm saying Minoan, Minoan, Minoan civilization versus the Mycenaeans, Myceneans. So they talked a little bit about their history. And I wrote in my notes, you can tell this block ain't gonna get done much, right? I'm telling y'all the story. And this was I got this from GreekBoston.com, that the Minoans built their empires on a trade, and they focused on building their relationships with other cultures in the Mediterranean and the Asian Minor. While the Mycenaeans, they were no stranger to trade either because of the war and conquest. They fought and battled their way across the area, and they eventually end up overtaking the Minoans. The Minoan kingdom, which opened the doors for So they end up taking over the Minoan kingdom. So that part of history she brought into the story. And they were like, he was, trying to update her, and she was like, "Yeah, I know all that. I know it. I know of it." And then he asked her a question. Are you asking if I think it was a volcanic eruption or an invasion? So he was trying to get her to get a feel for which side she was going to believe. And she was like, "Look, I'm here just to do my job." So he wanted her to find, he believed that they found, I was trying to get my paper back in here, a medicinal garden among the ruins of that takeover. Remember, I was just talking about the takeover. So he thought that they found this. Now, the woman that died, she was like a herbalist. Okay. And he was like, "Yeah, she left. I suppose I didn't wait." Oh, he was like, "Oh, yeah, she left, but I didn't say nothing about her leaving because he was just telling her at this point there was somebody else in her spot, and then she left." And she was like, "Well, I didn't want you to get over here and thinking that, I didn't want you not to take this job." So in a way, he kind of wanted her there, knowing who she was in her background. So they get to the headquarters. Hey, Joy T. Hey, Jamie. They get to the headquarters, and it's a beautiful olive meal. Now, honey, I learned so much about olive oil and olive making from this little story, but I'm not going to go into all that detail because I can't remember it all from verbatim. But it's a very pretty location where they are. Okay, we turn in the page, and she meets a guy named Adam. Adam, he straight up says, "Look, hey girl, I'm the other only American here, so I mean, but I said, oh, he was trying to butter her up. Immediately he's trying to get on her good side. He was like, "Oh, I know who you are. I know who you are. You're a doctor. You're the best. I've read about you." So I wrote down there, I'm talking about, oh, the flattery. And his job is to analyze the pits of the olives as a ancient superfood. That's he's working on his dissertation. Then he started talking about olives. You know what? We're not gonna go there. And she gave him a tip, and he was like, about for his dissertation, and he was like, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then came in Elena, who was another herbalist, but she was the one who lived there. She was from that area. But she was the apprentice to the girl that died. Okay, let's get a stitch in. Because I'm telling y'all the story. I ain't even stitching. So her family owns a vineyard not too far from there. So she knows this area pretty well. So she would know how to get in and out of these groves and stuff like that. I'm just opening up my little square on square. So she knows this area quite well. So I'm like, I wrote it down. Okay, so she's familiar with these parts, so she can get in and out. I'm already on it, doggone it. I'm like, I'm trying to see who figure this mess out. It had to be somebody who's from that area. And then, she was, telling her about, the area and all that kind of stuff. And then they introduced another lady, Sophia, and she is their expert in ancient something in ceramics. AMPHORAE. Is it amphore? I I have that underlined and I forgot to look it up and see what that meant, so I didn't know. But this chick, she was kind of like rude. I mean, I'm like, Kitty, went to speak to her, reach out and touch, shake her hand or whatever. That lady looked at her like ignored her and kept on moving about her business. So she was like, I didn't get it at first, and I just put right here, oh my gosh, she's rude. So I didn't get why she was being like felt the need to treat Kitty the way that she had, like paid her no attention and was just giving her like the side eye kind of thing, and it was just really uncalled for her to treat her that way. But I'm hoping that her story will come around to telling me why she was so rude. I hadn't gotten there yet in the story. Then there was, who is this guy? Because he has a British accent. Is this the guy that? Oh, Mr. Rupert, Professor Rupert. He's the expert in Greek and Minoan archaeology, and he is cocky, very arrogant. And then there's a Claude, and he reminds me of, you guys ever watch that show Frasier? That's what he reminds me of. He reminded me of Frasier, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, 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 no. 5, and let's go to 6. So 6 is D. So I was like, oh my goodness, this guy right here. But is this the guy who's he trying to tell everybody business? Okay, wait a minute. You can, I guess, yeah, he reminds me of Frasier. I wrote that down. And then there was a guy named Nikos, but he was like the laborer, and he was like super super tan, but I did find out that he worked outside, and he worked out like with the tarps and stuff like that, and the body was most likely dragged to that location in a tarp and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no. Nikos is Costos, which is the guy that drove, or the guy that hired Kitty. It's his protege. So that's the people so far. And then it's another person we're going to get introduced to later. Um, but let's talk about this room for a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about this room for a minute because I had to Google this. Their rooms, and I don't know if this is a Greece thing or not. I don't know if this still happens, but it reminds me of when my time spent over in Korea. But I didn't know this is what it was called. It's called a Spartan room. Spartan, Spartan. Have you guys ever heard of those rooms? Hey, Katie, have you heard of those rooms? I have never heard of a room called a Spartan bedroom, but that's a room when everything, well, we would consider it as a studio, but It has no running water, no electricity, and it's nothing beyond the four walls, a ceiling, the floor, and possibly something to sleep on. I have never heard of that. And I'd be dead darn somebody gonna bring me somewhere and that's all I got. No, you're not bringing me to work and you're not. No, no. Hey, so Terry, so that is my bags aren't even unpacked yet, but you would have been taking me back to the airport. There's no way that could have been my room. So she gets there and I guess she's still in the story, so she's staying there. Okay, she's okay with this. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it at all. But I was like, oh my gosh. So that's her living arrangement, and she's taking this all in. And she's like, what in the heck? Thinking, what in the world am I getting myself into? I know, because that's what I would have been thinking. And all of a sudden, is this Adam? Adam pops up in her window. To my not so much for privacy, huh? Sir, get out of my window. That's what I would have been saying. Because I don't know. Maybe I'm just too American for this story. I don't know. Wait, here I'm thinking I'm in my own thoughts in my own room, and all of a sudden somebody got their head popped on in there. Something that don't sound right to me. Hey, Courtney girl. Hey, Nancy. That don't sound right. But he jumps in there and he's talking to her. I hate when people say this saying. He go, "You didn't hear this from me. You didn't hear this from me." Why would he start something like that? So he's ready to spill the tea. So I already pegged him. I'm like, okay, if I want to know the deets, we need to talk to Adam because he wants to spill he wants to spill the tea. He wants to spill the tea. He wants all of it. Okay. So I'm like, okay, Adam, you my friend, you my friend. So I wrote down on here, I was like, Adam was about to spill some tea. He was like, in my experience, anytime Kitty is thinking, use the anytime someone used that phrase, you didn't hear from me, they're about to reveal that they could not be trusted. He probably not to be trusted, but I sure enough will be going to him for the tea. But I sure enough will be watching my back around him at the same time. So he's telling her what happened, right? Yeah, she hang herself. And then he goes, his eyes are shifting every which way. And she's like, well, how did it happen? He was like, no one really knows. She just disappeared one night after dinner, didn't tell anybody where she was going, and they found her the next day hanging from an olive tree. And then that's when she was saying, so you think so was I hired to take her job? And he's like, you don't know? She was like, no one told me. And he was like, I don't know either. Um, and then he also spilled the tea that she was supposed to be making the big bucks, and she was like, wait a minute, what? Because they didn't tell her about that either. So she was looking, looking him up and down about his body language because he's all over the place. She said he was looking confused and all that, but she knew right away that he was not to be trusted. And I wrote down here, a woman dies and replaced without telling the information of why she is there. So that all happened in chapter 1. We got introduced to all these characters, and Kitty is had taken a job, to me, almost under a falsehood, but she really didn't, because how many times did we go get a job, accept a job or whatever? Somebody was there before we were. So, but she didn't know that the job was given to her because someone had supposedly had taken their life. So that was all of chapter 1. Y'all, I was like, oh my gosh. But like I said, I wrote lots and lots of notes. Nancy says, when we were in North Dakota, the only motel we found was a room and you shared the bathroom with others. In the next motel, the only room they had was no AC, but they had a fan and an ice machine, so we took it. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. I am so spoiled. Now, when I lived over, because when I was over in Korea, I was in the barracks. But when I went out to the club, I only went out to the club a couple of times. Let's get that part. Let me start off with that. I only went to the club a couple of times, and the last time I went, I ended up in the hospital. And that was because it was Christmas, and I knew I was going out, and I was getting a stuffy headache. I was given medication because my wisdom teeth were coming in. So I thought, kind of find out it was not that. It was a very bad drug, a very, very, very bad drug. And the person that gave me that very, very bad drug was a doctor. He ended up giving me a medication which was the black market version of heroin, and I had a really bad reaction to it. Thank God I am yet in the land of the living, okay? Very bad reaction. So let me cut this off. But there, oh my gosh, in the club, you go to the bathroom, men and women in one bathroom, and it's like a divider, a wall that comes up like waist high. Female on this side, male on this side. But on the female side, there was a hole in the floor about that yay big. And when I walked in, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Now, he's here standing. You can see him. That wall didn't come all the way up. Man is there, you are there, and you're to squat. That wasn't happening. That was not with me. It wasn't happening. I was like, I will hold it. I learned that day how to hold my urine. I can hold it all day if I have to. One of the blocks is done. I learned how to hold it that day. But anywho, let's get to chapter 2. Can I get another one of these so we can be? But I have seen conditions worse. That's what I'm saying about the Spartan. That's probably the closest I'll ever come to seeing a Spartan bedroom, because I don't believe I can stay in a facility like that. So Kitty she went out, started looking around the area, and she ran into another lady, and she was like a hippie art teacher. And she's like, "Oh, I'm quiet." And she was like, "But I'm honored to have you in our meal," which is the olive meal that they were living in. And I put a note next to that. She said, "our." So she took possession of it. So I'm like, oh, she must be one of the owners. And her name was Maria. She was a friendly lady, but I wrote down there she was kind of strange. She was kind of like, I guess they I described her, well, they described her as a hippie art teacher. So that, to me, that just explained it. Nancy said she'll find a tree, girl. I know that's right. I was like, oh, but it was dark and I was not going outside by myself because at that point in time, uh, um, when we were in that bar, same bar, we only went to this. I went to this bar twice. That was the only one that it was close to the base, so we can get in and out on time. If that makes sense, to meet our curfews and stuff like that, military curfew. So everybody went to this one club except the officers. Well, you seen all kinds of things up in that club, and I was propositioned in there, and I was told my boyfriend at the time, don't play with me, don't play with me like that, because the guy wanted to buy me for a night. And he was like, I asked him how much. I was like, yeah, don't do me like that. Don't play with me like that, because you will come up missing too. So it was just really strange. It was really strange. That was like I said, that was my last venture in that bar that night. Because, like I said, ended up taking. I was like, "Ooh, I got a cold coming on. Let me go ahead and I'll get back to the story in a minute. Let me go ahead and take this medicine," and I ended up mixing it with Dimetap. And yeah, I had a really bad reaction. Really bad. Let me go this way. But anywho, so she meets Maria, and she was saying, "Oh, this is my family's olive meal." And I wrote, "Okay, that explains why she used the word "our" earlier." And then I also remember that Elena, her family had a vineyard not too far from here. So I'm like, oh, okay, so she knows this area really, really, really well too. Okay. So the old girl knows to find something out about one of these two families, and then they ended her. That's what I'm thinking. But as the story went on, she started, just talking, telling her about this stuff, and then she started talking to her about, the olive process and all again, and she told us, yeah, we're very proud of the work we do here. That is one of the things my husband and I are most proud of. We are an Airbnb experience now, so that she is wanting to offer up her meal as an Airbnb. And I'm thinking, oh, girl found something out that she wasn't supposed to find out. So every page, I'm guessing, I am trying to guess who the murderer is. And Maria was telling Kitty that her job there was her heart, that was her passion. And I wrote, she loves what she does. And then again, dang it, when I say the process of olive oil is for real, it is for real. So she took her around and talking to her about all these things. And then I wrote down here, who was this challenged? Was someone taking shortcuts in the olive oil making process? And it said on here, refining extra virgin olive oil in a small scale meal on Crete while using the least invasive techniques involves several steps to ensure the preservation of the oil's quality and flavor. So I'm wondering, was somebody taking shortcuts? And the things that she was saying, it sounded like a tour guide. And I was like, wow, I wonder did, she practice all this stuff because it sounded almost robotic, the things that she was saying. And then she went in and she was telling her about how to minimize damage to the olives, and how they had to put a tarp and everything beneath the trees to harvest, and then folding up the tarp to bring the olive fruits back in to be cleaned and washed. And then I wrote down here, I said, well, the killer used a tarp. Who all had access to a tarp and will fold it after using it? Right, right. And then again, went through page after page of how olives were made, olive oil was made, and and the efficiency of it. And again, she was saying how proud they were, and that they wanted to move like, or be more introduced to more modern ways of making it, because they love the old way of making it, because they're saying if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they were trying to introduce the modern ways to get more and do more, and of course make money. Hey Teresa. Hello, been lurking and sewing placemats. That's all right, girl. Hey Crystal. So I'm just telling y'all the story, what I've learned so far about this murder mystery. And I'm sharing with you guys all my notes. So the question came up was, how do you ensure that your oil is pure? Then I wrote down there, okay, was there a problem that the victim discovered about the freshness of the extra virgin olive oil? Because she went all into how the oil process and making sure it stayed pure, and the temperatures and all this kind of stuff, and the glasses that they had to use in order to make it pure. And then she was asking her about the impurities, and this lady, she's like, dang, she's asking me some really good questions. She getting a little, too close. And she explained everything to Kitty. And then she was like, she brought in the fact that things that her dad had taught her, and her dad just didn't want her to forget her history. And then she talked about her father some more, and then this was what made me think a little bit, because Maria had made a comment that said, well, no, she didn't make a comment. She was talking about her dad, and then she said he changed. And then Kitty blinked like, what you mean he changed? And then Maria, you know how people just shrug like, I don't know. And it said that shrug was described as the unbearable knowledge that not all things can be understood. Dad was going through some things. He was going through some things. I just really like that, because of course not everything can be explained when someone's temperament changes. When someone you've known all your life, or all for a while, and all of a sudden life flips on you and that person changes. My friend, she just started a YouTube channel, and she put out in her video that 28-year marriage. She came home one day not knowing anything, and her husband and all that belonged to him was gone. That when she said he changed, described the unbearable knowledge that not all things can be understood. And I put wow next to that, because try as we might, there are things that happen in our everyday life that we do not understand why it's happened. You know what I mean? Um, 1, 2, where's 3? So she got that impression from her. And then her last statement was, and she said, people don't often change. That's all I meant. Kitty mumbled. And then it says, in all of history, Maria told her slowly, in all of human experience, people have only changed for one reason and one reason only. And she said it's because they are no longer who they want to be. I don't know how true that is though, but and then the story went on, and I found out that Claude had access to the tarp. The victim could have figured out something and he killed her or had her killed. And then we found that there was some tension between Claude and Professor Winston. And them two were at it all the time in chapter 2. They were just into it. But it was always like into it from a distance kind of thing. It wasn't nothing like up close and personal that you can hear everything that was being said. And then let's see. Oh, I had to laugh because when they in the midst of them fussing, they found out Adam. You remember the guy who said, "You didn't hear from me"? That guy, his name is Adam Adamson. So they were ribbing him about that. And Winston, I put enemy number 1 next to him because he, of course, I just said he had him and Professor, no, that was Claude and Professor Winston. All of a sudden, what the heck? Did y'all see that? Them little balloons go fly up the screen. I don't know how I did that, but I did something and those things came up. Oh, what like that? Okay, I don't know how that happened and why balloons start flying up the screen. That was kind of okay, y'all. That was kind of creepy. That scared me. But anywho, but yeah, I wrote down that Winston was enemy number 1 because he just like really stuck up. That's the one I said that reminded me of Frasier. And they were laughing at Adam Adamson's name, and I wrote down parents could have just not had done that to the guy. Okay, he could have gave him a different name. And then I said Claude is petty and a jerk. The victim was I was finally given her name, and her name was Despina. And then all of a sudden, here come Adam. He wants to no. Wait, is this Adam? Wait a minute, because this is when I get to questioning things. Oh, they were talking about her name is Despina. They were talking about her and how she loved the olives and that how she, understood, a lot about Greece and she understood wine and knew a bit about it, as many Greeks do. And they were talking about her, and then they were like, well, they said, Kitty's like, well, are you surprised that she hang herself? And Claude, he looked and he was like, what? He said, you've been here less than one full day. Tell me, what have you noticed about olive trees? And then she said, well, they aren't that tall. Right. And that's when they started talking about how could it have been possible that she hang herself. So, and it was like, why would a tall woman hang herself from the low branches of an olive tree? And I was like, tell me more, tell me more. And he was like, then he goes, Kitty's last name is Campbell, Dr. Campbell. You are a scientist. Do not ask why, ask how. So she at this point, well, I didn't come here to find out all this kind of information. I just want to do my job and I want to get up out of here. But if you know Kitty like I knew Kitty, Kitty is about to get up in everybody's business. Okay, she about to get up in everybody's business. So I start laughing because starting off chapter 3, she is in everybody's business. She is trying to find out more and more about this case, and she was like, because she went and she was like, I could not figure out. She went to the spot where this all had happened, and Adam, here come Adam, and he's here come. Don't tell nobody that I told you this. All that kind of information. So he's backpedaling, and he is giving her. He's he's probing at her. He's giving her stuff so she can react to it because he knows who she is and what she's fully capable of. So he wants he wants to get down to the bottom of why Despina supposedly unalived herself. But he don't have the wherewithal to do it. He don't got the smarts to do it himself. So to me, he's setting her up. He is setting Kitty up. And she realizes that I wrote down in here, she realizes that he repeats what others says and he says what he thinks other than what he wants to hear. Can he and I was like, well, can he think for himself? Did he do everything someone told him to do? So that's what I said about Adam, because I just don't think Adam is I think he's clueless. Hey Melissa. And then he was saying that Despina, the victim, the dead girl, the unalive girl, I should say, she was having hallucinations. So, but what did I say right here? I told Adam he'd been running his mouth for the last couple of chapters, really. So she was hallucinating, and nobody can figure out why. But my thing is, that she was hallucinating, why would nobody taking her, getting her to, go get help? And the thing was, they were thinking, well, they didn't want to go get her no help because that he was putting it they were putting it under the label, maybe she's going a little, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They use the word crazy. But just because she was having hallucinations, that doesn't make her crazy. There had to be reasons behind her having these hallucinations, supposed hallucinations anyway. So as they were leaving, she happens to look down and there's a piece of paper on the ground. Now, this part of the story is a little far fetched. That how you gonna find a piece of paper 2 weeks later after someone unalived themselves in the same location? And I'm for sure that there was some kind of investigation that they did all this digging around out here. So I don't know if that paper was like truly there and someone kicked it and found it, or did someone plant that paper there? You know what I mean? Because she asked earlier, well, did she leave a note? And it was crazy because the paper was rough and it felt as if it was pressed from a pulp with fibers in it. And then it had small bumps on the surface, and to come to find out that those bumps were seeds. So then the note read, "This is more than I can carry. I cannot continue." But remember, everybody said they loved the girl. And he was like, yeah, I don't know. So he came out and he was like, finally, he's like, no, everybody didn't get along with her, and he started name dropping. And then what is it? And then, that he was talking about everybody who had, arguments or spats with her and stuff like that. And then he blurted out, did Desponina, whatever her name is, did she get murdered? Is that what you're thinking because of that note? Isn't Kitty gonna say, Adam, can you keep a secret? He nodded, so she started talking and the story ended. I'm like, really? So, and I wrote on there, dang on well, he can't keep no secret. Dang on well, that boy can't keep no secret. So, what do y'all think about this story? I'm thinking, okay, Adam talks too much. Adam, I don't think Adam is a killer because Adam can't hold. Right now, I don't think Adam is. I think it's something to do with the history. I don't believe that they would have went so much into. She would have went all into this history of Greece and these dang on olive trees, and all this history if it didn't have something to do with them. I just don't think it had. I think it has something to do with the history, trying to preserve the history. Someone trying to, take shortcuts and get away with something. That's where I'm thinking. My thinking is going towards right now. I know I could be wrong. I know very well I could be wrong, but that's where I am thinking about it as of right now. And I'm thinking it has something to do with the only two people that will have that much investment into this is what is her name? Elena, because her family has a vineyard, and then old girl whose place that is. What is her name? I just told y'all. What's her name? What is her name? Miss doo-doo-doo. I about to call her Susan. I don't know. Good, well, her name ain't no Susan. Marie. Marie. So it has to do something with one of them too, and or her dad. Didn't think about that one there. So yeah, it has something to do with one of them. So guys, I have been doing all this talking. I hope everybody doing well. That is the story so far. And these blocks, this fourth block is called, does it have a name? This block can be seen throughout Greece as mosaic. It resembles mosaic floors. And it reflects the concept of portals which appear in Greek mythology. So floors, floor tiles. So that's going to have something to do with this as well. So far, nothing about mosaic tiles have been brought to mind into the story. So I'm looking to see. I can't wait to hear how that all comes about. 4, 5, 6. 6 is number 2D. So guys, that is all. I met my goal, have one of these done. Tonight I have to do 7 more of these. I'm working on number 2 right now. Do the rest of them and put it out to look like this one. It'll be actually mirror image of this one. And my blocks will be done and I can submit them. And I just wanted to tell you guys the story so far. It's just so funny how I'm gonna take better notes. Chapters 4 through 4, 5, and 6 to give you guys a more condensed version. Right now, I was just going through page by page, but oh my gosh, it was funny because some of the things I was thinking about with Kitty, I was like, girl, you keep finding yourself in these foreign places, and you keep finding yourself around dead people, places where people have died. I mean, girl, you need a break. She's not gonna catch it no time soon, I see, but yeah, she might as well forget archaeology. She just needs to go on and be a detective. Seriously. Seriously. Day is asking everybody to hit that thumbs up and ring the bell to be notified when I go live. That is truly appreciated. Again, I will be going live tomorrow. We'll be working on the create. So you guys can go ahead and get started on it. Yeah, I'll explain more in detail on that on tomorrow when you see me at 7 p.m. So I hope you guys are available, especially for those who want to do this project. Guys, that's it for tonight. I hope you have a blessed and amazing rest of your week. If you don't join me on tomorrow night, be blessed. But we're gonna pray for, please continue to pray for Donna and Joe. For them too, and the victims that were of this horrible tornado that passed through so many towns and have taken a couple of lives. So please, please, please keep everyone in prayer. If you have a prayer, please put it in the chat. We'll definitely lift your name up in prayer as well. Joy T, I'm hoping that your package should be arriving to you soon. I had to, it was a delay because I forgot to get your card information. I had a card for you. I should have had mailed it earlier and I forgot to mail it, and I wanted to make sure I put that card in there for you. So it's coming, honey. It's on its way. Okay. And I don't see any prayer requests coming up in the chat. So, guys, that is it. I want you to have a blessed and wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Until the next time, guys, be blessed.